What's going on, everybody? It's Joel here, and today we're taking a look at the Reebok Nano 12 Adventures and the Jurassic World Special Edition. Alright guys, so I'm coming to you guys from the garage today, but it is like 107 degrees outside right now, so the garage is absolutely scorching. I have the fan blowing on me right now, so if you guys hear a little bit of wind feedback, it's because of that, and that's the only thing keeping me cool in the garage today. But anyways, we're here to talk about the Nano 12 Adventures and the Jurassic World Special Edition. So these ones follow in the footsteps of the Nano 11 Adventures, which were one of actually my favorite Nano 11s. And honestly, that's not really saying too much because Nano 11s are like one of my least favorite shoes of all time. I just don't think they're very good for training at all. And it's kind of unfortunate to say that the Nano 12 Adventures, for some reason, follow in the same footsteps as the Nano 11s, which some people might be okay with. Like if you like the Nano 11s, you probably like the Nano 12 Adventures. But anyways, we'll talk about it, and I'll tell you why I dislike these shoes. So first off, we'll start off with the normal Nano 12 Adventure. And I really like the look of this shoe. I think it's one of the better looking Nano 12s. Actually, it's the best looking Nano 12 to me. It's really awesome. The colorways are awesome. I really like the loud colorways, and this one kind of has that trail shoe vibe to it as far as like the way that they picked out the colors for it. But anyways, we have a ripstop nylon material, very similar to last year's Nano 11 Adventure. But there's a little bit more like armor on this shoe around the toe bumper, and it kind of has these little protruding dots on it. Kind of gives it like a Black Panther vibe around, and that extends pretty much all the way around the toe box. And then you have some more overlays in the form of the vector, and that's on both sides of the shoe. And you have the TPU heel clip, which extends from the midpoint of the shoe all the way around, and then all the way around to the other side. And that is like a clear TPU plastic that has speckles in it. It looks really, really cool. Around the back, you've got the Nano logo with some stitching around it. The overlay that's in the middle of the vector is like a felt-ish material, very similar to the material that they're using on the Nano 6000, which does get dirty pretty quickly, so do keep that in mind. The eye stays on this one are made out of TPU, they're plastic. One thing that I don't know why they got rid of was that top eye stay from the Nano 11 Adventure, which kind of hooked into itself so that you almost had a lace lock just built into it. That was like one of my favorite features with the Nano 11 Adventure, and they took that out of the Nano 12s. I don't know why, but they did add another loop so that you can lace lock, another eyelet so that you can lace lock. And the tongue is still kind of floaty, which is a little annoying, but it's a little bit more hardy than the normal Nano 11 or Nano 12 tongue. And it has this little neon patch on it right there, and that actually is a little cool detail. And one thing that is new to the Nano 12 Adventure is this kind of raised Achilles pad, and it's very reminiscent of the way that the Nano 10's like Achilles area or heel is shaped, but it's very soft. And with this shoe, you get a ton of heel slip, and I think it's because of this part not being as tall as the normal Nano 12 or normal Nano 11, which, yeah, it doesn't really rub against the back of your Achilles or anything, but you get heel slip. So I would actually take the Nano 12's just normal heel over the Nano 12 Adventures. The outsole of the shoe does have some thicker treading that is also deeper, and obviously you're gonna want that if you're taking these off the beaten path. It's not really something I care for because I don't really do trail anything. I don't really even like hiking all that much. But you know, if that was your thing, I'm sure you get a little bit more traction out of the thicker and deeper lugs that are on the outsole of this shoe. The midsole is still going to be that float ride energy midsole. You're going to get that mainly in the forefoot of the shoe. To me, it feels the exact same as the normal Nano 12. The insole is also the exact same as the normal Nano 12, and the drop is still the same as the normal Nano 12 at 7 millimeters. Now, one thing that takes a pretty big hit is the weight of these shoes comes in at 12.7 ounces, and that's compared to the 11.7 ounces of the normal Nano 11. Now, let's take a look at the Jurassic World Dominion Special Edition, which honestly is really, really cool looking. I love the styling of this shoe, but I, once again, don't really love the shoe. Anyways, let's talk about the differences between this and the normal Nano 12 Adventure. The first big one is the upper is made out of this canvas type material, which gives it a more military look to it. It's not really so adventure-y, but it does have a more like primal look to it, and I really like that about this particular colorway. And then the toe bumper on this one is an overlay, and it's kind of like jagged, and it really has that unfinished look to it, which lends itself to that like primal feel of the shoe. The Vector is an overlay and has that same kind of styling. The middle part of the shoe does not have that felt, and it's more of like a rubbery TPU kind of material. The eyelets on the shoe are still that TPU plastic, and the laces on the shoe are made out of paracord, which is really cool. On these shoes, you do get a little clip-on compass, which is also another really cool design thing that they added into the shoe. And then on the tongue, it says run, hide, survive. And on the other one that I have on my foot right now, it says alert, dinosaur breach detected. So nice little details that they added into the Jurassic World one. The little Achilles heel part is the same. Around the back, there's this little piece of like kind of like molly webbing in the back part of the shoe, which does give it a nice little look, like it lends itself to more of that military style as well. The outsole lugs are the same, very thick, deeper than your normal Nano 12. And then the rest of the midsole and the insole are pretty much the exact same thing as the Nano 12 Adventure, but the weight on these actually goes up a little bit more to 13 ounces in total. So they are the heaviest ones. The drop is still 7 millimeters. And one thing that I will say about these shoes is they run quite a bit more narrow than your normal Nano 12. So let's use that to segue into talking about the fit of these shoes. So with the normal Nano 12, I recommended that you should size them a half size down. With the Nano 12 Adventures, you're going to definitely need to go with your normal training shoe size, your normal size. And if you're getting the Jurassic World ones, I'm gonna recommend you might actually even need to size up if you have a wider foot. These ones run pretty narrow in the metatarsal area. And I think these are the smallest fitting of all the Nano 12s that I have tried so far. The normal Nano 12 Adventures compared to the standard Nano 12 do run a little bit smaller in comparison, but I'm gonna say that if you go with your normal training shoe size, I think you're gonna be fine. I think everybody's gonna be able to size them that way, and they should still be fine. There's still a decent amount of width in the Nano 12 Adventures toe box, but it is noticeably less than the standard Nano 12. So do keep that in mind when you're picking these shoes up. Now, the thing that absolutely kills these shoes is that there's heel slip in them. And this is in my normal size. I got these in both a size 10, and I'm getting heel slip in both of these shoes. It doesn't really matter what I do as far as lacing them, just get heel slip no matter what. All right, so now we're gonna test out and see how water resistant the Adventure line is. I have a little container full of water right here. It's about 3 inches deep. So first off, I'm gonna start with dipping just like my toe in, just to like simulate like walking in rain. Okay, so that's the normal Adventure. It soaked right through. And there is the Jurassic Park ones, which are actually a little bit more resistant. That didn't really soak through as much. I don't really actually feel it on my toes, whereas the normal Adventures, I felt it almost right away. So if you want water resistance, go for the Jurassic Park ones. Now I'm just gonna step into it, and of course, that soaks right through. And now the Adventures, or the Jurassic Park ones. And the Jurassic Park ones actually do a fairly decent job of keeping your feet dry. Way better than the normal ones, for sure. So if you want water resistance, you gotta go with the Jurassic Park ones. All right, so now we're gonna talk about how these things fare for like running and like plyometric agility work. And I'm gonna say that once again, they're not that great. They're actually less flexible than your normal Nano 12s. So you're gonna immediately notice that when you put your feet into these shoes. The normal Nano 12s, a little bit less flexible. The Jurassic Park ones, a lot less flexible. They're pretty stiff in like the toe box of these shoes, and I think that's because of just the material difference. And obviously the material difference on the ripstop is not going to expand and contract, not like the normal flex weave knit on the Nano 12. These ones also run a little bit hotter than your normal Nano 12s. Not awful, but it was enough for me to notice. And if you were a fan of the normal Nano 11s, I'd say that you'd probably be okay with these shoes as far as like running and jumping and doing plyometric works. I think laterally they're still very stable. The heel is pretty stable on these shoes. But the fact that these are a little bit heavier than your normal Nano 12s and they are less flexible makes me not really want to use these for anything besides just walking around casually. All right, so I know I've said a lot of not so positive things about these shoes, but I gotta be honest, that's not the end of it. The absolute worst part of these shoes is lifting in them. Using these feels like you're wearing a rocking chair strapped onto your feet. The toe on these seems to be even worse than it was on the Nano 11 in the way that it would pitch you forward. It's bad on the Nano 12 Adventures, but it's even worse on the Jurassic Park ones. Like, once you get a little bit forward in these shoes, your heel is coming off the ground. There's no way that you're gonna be able to stabilize that. And if you pull your heel all the way back, your toes are coming off the ground. I was doing some 95-pound thrusters and I could not balance at all in these shoes. I was jumping forward, jumping backwards on my toes. I was all over the place, and it was just a 95-pound thruster. I actually changed shoes mid-wad, and I changed them to the Innovate F-Lite 260s, which have an 8mm drop, and I had absolutely no problem finishing out my set of thrusters in those shoes. Another thing that I did notice with these is even when it comes to like the slower lifts, just squatting, front squats, back squats, you really have to pick and choose whether you want to be all the way back on your heel or all the way onto your toes and your heels off the ground. So there's no way to get a comfortable amount of full foot contact in these shoes. And I think that, I mean, if you didn't care about lifting and you were just gonna use these shoes for like hiking, maybe they'd be a good option. But if you're planning on training in these, I'm gonna say you're probably never gonna wanna touch a barbell. And that's not even just limited to barbells. I was doing devil's presses in these shoes and I was just stuck on my toes the whole time. It was really hard for me to drive off of my heels, getting my posterior chain to work for the double dumbbell snatch part of the movement. And I could not wait to change out of these shoes for the next round. So at $140 for the Nano 12 Adventures and $150 for the Jurassic World Adventures, I'm gonna say that these are a hard pass. Skip these unless, of course, you just really like the way that they looked or you absolutely needed something to go from the trail straight into the gym. If you're planning on using these as a straight up training shoe, they're probably one of the worst training shoes that I've ever tried. I do not like these at all for any kind of in the gym movement. And I think that they're just way better options. Like the normal Nano 12 is so much of a better option. And if you wanted the enhanced lug depth, why don't you just go and get the Nano 11 Adventures, which yes, they are not great to lift in, but they at least don't have heel slip and they're a lot cheaper than these ones. And with that, we're gonna close this video off. If you guys had any questions about the Nano 12 Adventure or the Jurassic World versions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. And as always guys, if you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching guys.